There was once upon a time a king who had become a widower. His queen had left one daughter behind her. It was well known for a full 20 miles round that there lived in the castle 12 princesses of wonderful beauty, and as proud as they were beautiful, and who were besides so very sensitive and of such truly royal blood that they would have felt at once the presence of a pea in their beds. It was whispered about that they led exactly the lives that princesses ought to lead. Emma Woodhouse, handsome, clever, and rich, with a comfortable home and a happy disposition, seemed to unite some of the best blessings of existence, and had lived nearly 21 years in the world with very little to distress or vex her. At 15, Catherine was queen of the countryside. She had no peer, and she did turn out a haughty, headstrong creature. A headstrong creature, handsome, chaste, refined, accomplished, from Rosehead, from Haworth. I am from the faux tile flooring that we laid ourselves, shooing kitten feet out of the glue, from a quilt with 6 animals at my cheek till I could no longer wipe my eyes. I am from the woman who salvaged the 4 posts out back, from every blue-tipped giraffe tongue swirled around our fist in search of chunk bananas. I am from the snap of pickled peppers and crawfish. That night I sink low in a bath of my own, turn tight into myself like their hard red bodies. Back in the tub, the tightening grows between my thighs, a part of the magic, I am sure. When I uncoil, the water is a faint, dingy red, trickling from somewhere inside of me, thin like mother's voice, thin like mine, from Memphis, from Alexandria, from Sarasota and Jennings. I am from all absence, all vulnerable, and sex. Jane recalls a laugh that is mirthless, tragic, and preternatural, an inhuman goblin ha-ha. In contrast, Reese's 1966 novel, Wide Sargasso Sea, revisits and revises Bronte's masterwork, focusing on laughter as a form of expression, complicated by its numerous motives and forms, significant in its role in maintaining the degraded status of the object and the superiority of the laughing subject, and revealing in its relation to the cultures that employ it. I am from queer, questioning, female, feminist, feminism. Dear Dr. A, I hope to have it done as soon as possible. Dr. Marsh is on a cruise right now and without email, so we'll have to continue working on it when I start my program at Hampshire. I leave this Sunday and the program starts on Monday. It looks like there are just 6 people in the program along with me, so it should be a lot more close-knit than I thought. Overcrowding has forced 2 to 3 prisoners in a minuscule cell or turned prison gymnasiums into dormitories where no less than 100 prisoners would be housed in a single room. Huffington Post, 2015. Critical vocabulary. Inmate, a label attached to someone sentenced to a jail or prison sentence. Dehumanizing, promotes conformity and invisibility, undermines the self-esteem and sense of worth as a mother, sister, caretaker. Critical issue, 70% of women in prison are mothers or caretakers. To the woman in the invisible tower, I wonder, did you press me up against your ear then, like a timepiece that had already begun to count down our cold seconds? Was I snatched up in the belly of the beast on the 24th month at the going rate of invisible children like me? Did I then plummet here, faceless and voiceless and motherless, into another part of the system, dropped by some terrible stork? To the mother who will never read a word of this letter, who were you then, and who am I now? How do 2 invisible people find each other again? Invisible women, doctors, and advocates powered the Overground Railroad to abortion access prior to the passing of Roe v. Wade. The issue for reproductive rights would later be framed as a family issue, reincarnated in its more inclusive form as reproductive justice. What do you need to express your reproductive justice? 1. Safe and respectful relationships. 2. Legal rights and political protection. 3. No shame, no guilt. 4. Sexual liberation. So I unthread the skin down to the place where the absence gapes up at me. I dip my fingers into the goriness, scoop out the promiseless eggs, pluck out the fleshy tubes. Before I bind myself together, I line my womb with publications, unspindle lines from Shakespeare, wrap them around the staff from Lavinia's mouth with the dampness from Ophelia's watery grave, drop the newly made papier-mâché phallus inside of me. I'll bury the rest of those unwanted parts in the Mississippi clay. But I wonder what shape TT's eyes were. Downcast eyes are often used in racial profiling, as are cheap shoes, overly vivid stories, and skin that isn't white. Manifest Destiny is explicitly and unapologetically a doctrine of white supremacy. How pervasive is the reach of imperialist ideology even today? In what way are we all complicit in the exploitation of immigrant workers? Blaming the victim, blaming the victim. The just world premise. They named her Princess Rosette. Human warehouses. Look for concrete policy change. In 1965, the first effort to regulate the US-Mexican border. What is the nightmare and what is the dream? Activism is not safe. Do not expect to be safe. Neoliberalism. Detention relies on geographic isolation that separates migrants from their homes, families, and advocates. The new Jim Crow. The U.S. is the home to the largest prison industrial complex in the world. Deviance, destitution, dissonance. Deviance, destitution, dissonance. The melting pot cannot melt off race. Assimilation cannot whiten enough. 1971, war on drugs. Clinton administration. Self-appointed vigilantes. Society is a racial construction. How to not be the white savior. Step 1. The ventilator hums, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. Many women receive contraceptive injections before the journey. What are your pronouns? My pronouns are potassium permanganate burns through the abdomen and intestines. No shame, no guilt. Sometimes we call them the fields of panties. My Antonia by Willa Cather. It was no wonder that her son stood tall and straight. She was a rich mine of life, like the founders of early races. Who is illegal? Catherine Earnshaw fell in love with Heathcliff on the moors of the Bronte estate. The demise of the American family. Oranges are not the only fruit by Jeanette Winterson. How can we listen in a way that we do not have to win? Population control. We were ordinary people living in extraordinary times. The greening of hate. Shackling and coerced sterilization are part of the prison experience. White Sargasso by Jean Reese. Queer, 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 queer. The logic of black guilt. Deprivera causes increased risk of HIV by pinning the vaginal walls. There's no other way. We have to burn it down. The Woman Warrior by Maxine Kingston. Know your privilege and use it wisely. The immigration system is not broken. It works as it's supposed to. Recent waves of feminism have produced a growing feminization of job supply for migrants. Over 80% of Central American women are raped en route to the border. What shape were TT's eyes? Do not lead with statistics. Always lead with a human face. We are organizing who, for what, through how. What now? What do we do now? What do I know? What do I know now?